And in terms, again, of rehabilitation and maintenance, it might be a bit more of a complicated question, but have you got advice on variations in the frequency that you would use it?
Yes. Again, excellent question. What we're looking to achieve through this body-to-brain feedback, brain-body, body-brain, is essentially a constant stimulus that will create a new motor or movement pathway that will then become a normal or accepted pathway in the brain. So again, it becomes an unconscious, if you like, movement. So in terms of use, once the band system is first implemented, it has to be on a daily or consistent basis. So whether it be in a rehab program or as part of, for example, a young horse course stability training program, or indeed general conditioning, it has to be a constant input. When that input is not there, particularly in the case of a rehabilitation case, the different brain to body motor patterns can develop. So, for example, in the horse with a kissing spine issue, there will have been an adapted movement to essentially avoid that pain during the pain production phase of the pathology. Once the pain element has been removed, and this is really important, the brain does not recognize or will not automatically reactivate the original motor pathways.
And I believe that that's the same in the human field. And
absolutely.
The evidence
yes, there's a strong body of evidence with that, Sue, absolutely. So the muscles that are involved with that dynamic stability, so superficial, your transverse abdominis, which is again fascially connected to the rectus abdominis muscle, deeper, so perivertebral, around the spine, we have the deep multifidus, so the stabilizer muscle of the spine that runs across the dorsal aspect or atop of the vertebral bodies. Then deeper down in the back, we have the psoas complex as well. So again, when there is a dysfunction in these muscles, when they do not activate as they should because of lesion or injury to a particular area, again, pain is removed, but that muscle function is not automatically reactivated. And that is why you need a constant light proprioceptive input or stimulus during movement to again retrain that particular neural pattern or movement pattern.
And is there a stage at which that movement pattern has been retrained and then you could perhaps use the Equiband once a week to sort of just re-stimulate?
Yes, or as a reinforcement. Absolutely. So in movement retraining or neural pattern programming, it is individual dependent, but essentially 3 to 4 weeks will see an integration of that motor pattern into normal movement, or it becomes an automatic pattern. So as a suggestion, the band system would be used daily for 3 to 4 weeks, and then from there on start to play with intervals. So for example, 2 days on, a day off, which then turns into 1 day on, 2 days off. A lot of folks have asked whether this is a training aid that puts a horse in a position, and I have to say that this is completely contrary to the intention. What we want to do here is, through stimulus, rebuild that motor pathway so that movement output, that retraining in the brain. So the idea really is that over time its use becomes less frequent, but it's up to the rider or indeed the clinician or therapist in the therapeutic setting to recognize whether that motor pattern is holding. And then as part of a general maintenance program, it really varies, but on my horse, for example, who's using it as part of a general conditioning program, I'll use it twice a week. So 1 day during hacking, for example, 1 day using the abdominal band in low cavaletti training, so a lower jumping session, 1 day perhaps for the flat work. And remembering again that the muscles that are being recruited are large compartmentalized muscles, so in different movement, so for example in dressage movements you might find that they're recruited differently and repetitively to, for example, when you're hacking out. So again, I feel that the idea of switching it up from an input to the brain is really useful.
So sometimes using it in the school, sometimes using it going up and down hills.
Absolutely.
Sometimes using
Absolutely.
it over some poles.
Absolutely.
And I'm guessing there's a difference in hand and ridden as well. So sometimes using it in hand, sometimes using it.
Yes, and from the in-hand perspective, I find it's an incredibly useful tool in early stages of rehab. So the horse has been laid up with, for example, a suspensory ligament injury, but is being cleared for hand walking. Ideally, during that in the stable rehab time, a program of ground activation exercises has already been introduced, but once the movement retraining starts, so in hand, it's an ideal time to introduce the system because you're getting the core activation, but you're not loading the structures that have been affected by the lesion.